Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining Painting with Picasso's Grapevine. My name is Leanna Haun, and I'll be your host and teacher for today. Today we're going to look at this awesome lion. I think we call it the Pride King. So if anybody's ever watched that movie, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Mufasa, I think his name is. So we're going to be doing a lot of fun blending and mixing, and we're going to be working with the black canvas, which is kind of fun. We haven't done that in a little while. As always, we start out with a list of our supplies. We're going to use 3 paintbrushes for today. I'm using a medium filbert. I'm using a chisel, looks to be like about maybe a number 2, number 3, and a number 1 round. As well, we always have our cup of water. We're going to be using that for washing off our acrylic paints. And the colors we have today are some nice earthy tone kind of colors. So I've got some yellow ochre, got some Venetian red, black, white, and then phthalo blue. So as we start or approach any painting, we always kind of take a look at it and say, where do we start? Where do we go first? Where do we go next? This is kind of I'm going to say a one-dimensional, maybe two-dimensional type painting. There's no background. There's really not too much foreground. It's just kind of solid black. Now you could start off with a painted or a prepared canvas that is already black. I just painted mine. Make sure you allow enough time for drying, so when you come on top with this beautiful color, it doesn't activate the black paint underneath. So to kick us off, I went through, I did kind of a quick sketch. So drawing on black canvas, it's a little difficult. One suggestion, I did use just white paint, just gave me a quick sketch of this. You can also use chalk. Chalk is an awesome tool. It'll show up in just about any color. So pinks, greens, white. The nice thing with chalk is that when you start painting over it, you can just brush away the chalk and you're good to go. So for us, what we're going to do is we're going to start on some of that mane. And that mane is this beautiful little collection now over here to the right. I'm going to start by waking up my paintbrush, and I'm going to start with this Venetian red. Now we're going to be jumping a lot, so there's really not too many ways to mess up this painting. We're just going to get some color on our canvas. I'm going to start out with some of this Venetian red. And we're going to be jumping kind of between the Venetian red, the yellow ochre. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is making sure all of my strokes are consistently moving in the same direction. I went ahead and grabbed a little bit of white, just kind of giving some contrast and laying that down here. Jumping again over to my yellow ochre. Laying that down. Now you don't want to end up with one big blob of color. You do want to see the strokes because this is supposed to be the mane. And it's kind of nice to see that difference in the different pieces of hair. So as we kind of add in different strokes and we're jumping back and forth, allow some of that difference to exist. Now you don't want to have a rainbow necessarily, so there will be some points where you kind of blend it in. As I'm placing down my paint here, when I come to the bottom, I kind of twist my brush. So I'm going kind of flat and straight here, and I kind of twist my brush just to show a little bit of that hair at the bottom. Just kind of continue to take that down. What's nice is that we're going to start here, then we'll move over to the front of the face, then we'll kind of come back. So if you don't like any part of your mane here, you have another opportunity to fix it. Once it's a little bit drier, you'll be able to come in on top and add some different colors, add some different mixtures, make it a little bit more closer to what your eye feels comfortable with. Now on the bottom here, I'm going to start kind of making this a little bit more arced, I guess is the best word. All right, so I think I got a good start on the mane. Let's take a look at our original and see where we go from here. So we've got our mane kind of moving down. We also have some nice elements of black and blue, so we'll kind of bring those in later into the painting. So what we're going to do right now is kind of work on our face. Let's get the structure of the face set up there, and then we'll kind of move on. using the same paintbrush, and I've got a little bit of that Venetian red in there. That's okay. I'm not going to be worried too much about washing my paintbrush because a lot of these colors are just continuously mixed. So I'm taking the face up kind of straight here. And you see some of that black coming through, so that's very nice. I'm actually going to grab just a little bit of that blue and do a nice quick stroke. There you go. Just to kind of add a little bit of interest. Since the blue is so distinct, we'll go ahead and wash that off so we can continue. Again, make sure that when you're washing off your paintbrush, you always take it to the dab rag. When we have all this beautiful paint on our canvas, a drip of water will actually remove the paint. You can fix it, but we always try and avoid that. So let's kind of take a look at what else is going on with our little guy. So he's got a lot of fur kind of standing up. So we're going to start adding some of those fur, some of that fur all around the mane. Now I'm doing light wisps. Don't forget to take them in a little bit different direction. So they don't all have to be in the same direction. Most of them should be. I just kind of like the variation. Again, let your brush kind of fly off the canvas. So I put my first part of the brush on the canvas and allow it to kind of flick off. What you're doing there is kind of giving that end part of your stroke a nice feathered look. And again, inconsistency is part of what you're trying to achieve. So you don't want them all exactly the same height. Let some come higher than others. Make them inconsistent. Alrighty. So now we're going to come down to the front of our face, and we're going to bring up, grabbing a little bit of our Venetian red. We're going to bring that up. And then right below the eye, I just grabbed some of that yellow ochre. We're going to bring this down a little bit closer. So we're starting to kind of define the front part of his face. And then we can come back up here, kind of finish those in. Now you'll notice as well, when I take my paint, I'm always making the arc from the beginning. So wherever I'm trying to make that stylized swoop, I make sure I go back to the beginning and then take it down. I do this because I want this to be a nice fluid line, so I don't want to start in the middle, even though it needs paint right here in the middle. Instead, I will start at the beginning or at the top and then bring that down. We'll go ahead and grab a little bit of black. Give a little bit of emphasis there. Maybe add a little black up here. Kind of jump down here, just to give it some depth. As well, since we got our paintbrush nice and dirty, let's grab some blue and do the same thing. And with the blue, you do want to be sparing just a little bit, a few spaces here and there. We're just kind of giving it a little bit of interest and dimension again. And then once you've got that blue and black, definitely go ahead, clean that off from your brush. All right. So let's once again take a look at our our painting and see how we're going. So we've got the face kind of built in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come in underneath the nose and start forming out the front of the mouth. So we'll be adding some yellow ochre and some white, kind of emphasizing with the black and then kind of bringing down, I guess, his little beard, if you want to call it, or his goatee. So to do that, let's go ahead and start off with some white. We'll bring that in underneath here. Just kind of start that feathering. Then as well, he's got some nice little beard going on underneath. What's really nice is with this undertone of the black, you get a lot of that depth kind of showing through without really having to work for it. So I'm going to grab some yellow ochre, kind of bring that in here. Get a nice mixture going. And then we will clean up and finish that face right through here. A little pop of white every once in a while. And then with the black, we'll kind of make the connection right here. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, drop my paintbrush into the water. Now we're going to take a look at our eyes and see what we're doing. So we've got a little bit of yellow ochre right here in the background, and we've got a nice heavy ear on top. So let's just go ahead, throw in some of the yellow ochre to give it a nice base. To do that, I'm going to use my arched brush, grab some yellow ochre. Let's get some coverage in right there. And as well, let's kind of define where we're going to go put our ear. Here we go. You know, and with every painting, don't forget, take that step back. Take a look at it and say, all right, how does it look? Do I need something more here? Do I need to add something else? I'm, of course, doing this to the side. So a lot of times you lose perspective when you're drawing to the side, so it's very important for you folks at home that you're looking straight on. To take that time, take a look at it. See if you need to add anything else. I'm kind of coming down here in the bottom, adding a little bit of white, just to give it some difference in depth again. I use that word a lot, depth. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that there's more than just one layer, that it has some dimension to it. And of course, when you're using a black canvas, if you want to get some coverage, you're going to have to go over it a couple of times. So if I'm covering in white here, I'm going to make sure that I've got a couple shades. Alrighty. So next I'm going to move into the black, and we're going to be moving into the end of our painting, where we're going to go through and say, all right, this guy needs an eye. You know, and notice too that I'm not necessarily completing the entire eye. I'm just giving you a partial, because a lot of this is kind of an abstract view. So what I will do is make sure we got a good ear up here. And then again, make sure you stand back, take a look at it, say, hey, I like this, I don't like this. If you want to leave your nose completely black with a canvas underneath, feel free to do so. Or if you want to kind of color it in, that's your opportunity to do that. Make sure if there's any lines that are still residual from your chalk outline or from your paint outline, make sure you get those covered. And add any last touches that you feel kind of make it complete. All right, and voila. We've got our Pride King all nice and done. Hopefully you have enjoyed this and you've picked up a few tricks. Hopefully you've been inspired to maybe try something at home that you've never tried before. If you'd like to learn more about how to paint paintings like this, do send us an email to info@picassosgrapevine.com. Thank you.